Okay, this video is going to be a short, quick and easy way, and a very cheap way of installing a bootloader onto an Uno board where the chip on the board does not have the bootloader on it. So the components you're going to need for this is obviously you're going to need the program installed on your computer for the Arduino, and then you're going to need the Uno board obviously itself. You're going to need some jumper wires with a breadboard. Some, I think 5 different components here, and you're going to need another one of these AT Mega chips. It's actually an AT Mega 328. They're very cheap. You can get them on eBay within a few days for about $6. I got this one for $6, so it's really cheap. And of course, all these components are really cheap too. So this is the easiest, I think, way that's really cheap to fix one of these boards, fix one of these chips without the bootloader on it. Because if you actually wanted to go and get like a JTAG programmer, they're pretty pricey, so I wouldn't recommend doing that if you're trying to save money. So I divided this up into a few steps. The first step is to go up to examples and just pick a simple program like the Blink. So there's the Blink program, and you say upload. And the reason why I'm saying to do this program is basically this is to test to see if this is going to work or not. And we know it's not going to work because this chip does not have the bootloader, which means you can't run any programs on it. So there's the error. It says not in sync. So that usually means that there is no bootloader on this chip. So what you're going to need is one of these chips right here. Make sure that the chip that you order already has a bootloader on it. Either that, or if you already have an extra one of these that you know that the bootloader on this and everything works on it. Because one of these chips you need to already have a bootloader on, so you can basically copy that to the bad one and put the bootloader onto that one too. Alright, so that was step 1. So basically the second step would be to install the bootloader. So let's close this. In order to do that, we need to take this basically bad chip out and put the good one in. I only have one hand, so I'm going to put the camera down and swap out these 2 chips. So I'm taking out the good chip, or I'm sorry, I'm taking out the bad chip, and I'm putting in the good one. Okay, so now here's the bad one, and here's the good one. Just make sure when you swap these out that there's a little notch in the chip. Trying to focus here. There's a little notch in the chip, and you want it to be facing this end of the board. So that little notch goes to this side. So make sure you don't put it in the wrong way, or else you could damage the chip. Alright, anyway, here's the bad chip. Let's put this in to the circuit. Alright, and I will show you this circuit schematic in a few minutes when after I do all the software end of this. So now what we got to do is we go up to Programmer. Now you go to Tools, Programmer, and you go over to Arduino as ISP. After that, you go into Examples, and you load the Arduino ISP program. Alright, so there's that. Now you take this and you upload. So I'm just going to click on Upload. That's basically loading the program onto the good chip right here. Alright, that's done. Now the next step is to go into Tools and Burn Bootloader. So now you can see over here, it says burning bootloader. This may take a minute. You can see the lights are going crazy on the board, which means it's basically taking the bootloader over here and burning it onto this chip right here. As soon as these lights are done flashing like that, this now says done burning bootloader. Alright, so that means that the bootloader is now on this chip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to take this chip out, put it to the side. I'm going to take this chip and put it into here. And then we're going to run another example program to make sure that it works. So I'm putting the camera down again, swapping out chips. Alright, so there's the old chip that was in here. I took the chip that was in here and I put it onto the board. Alright, so we'll go over to the program here and we'll run another example. Let's do examples. We'll go back to the blink again. Alright, upload. And now it works. Everything's good. So now you're wondering, how do I actually design this circuit? Well, I'm going to take this and walk over to the whiteboard here. And it's actually pretty simple. There's the Uno board. As you can see, there's the USB is on the bottom. Pins 10, 11, 12, and 13 right there on the left. The @mega chip with the notch facing the top here is right there in the middle towards the right. And then I pointed towards, there's a ground and the 5-volt pins on the right hand side here. So instead of actually hooking up your circuit to a power supply, just hook it up to the Uno board itself. Use the voltage supply source on there. Save you a lot of trouble. So here's the chip itself. That is this chip right there. The pins are not really in order, but I just drew it this way to make the schematic a lot easier to read, so you don't have wires going all over the place. Okay, so the components you're going to need is going to be a 47 microfarad capacitor. That one just basically goes to 5 volts to ground. So there's a ground over here, just goes basically across, and that basically just helps regulate the supply voltage, so you don't get any spikes or dips in the voltage, because this @mega chip is pretty sensitive to voltage supplies that are not very stable. So the capacitor just levels that out. So basically pins 21 and 20 and also 7 all go to plus 5 volts, so you can just hook it right into over here. So I'll just put these pins onto, like I said, a breadboard, and then link them all up and go straight over to the 5-volt supply, like I have it on the from the breadboard to the Uno board. From pin 1 to basically to 5 volts, you got a 120 ohm resistor. And you can use 100 ohm or 150 ohm, as long as it's within that range, you're fine. Pin 1 goes to pin 10 over here on the Uno board. Pin 17 to 11, 18 to 12, and then 19 to 13. On this side here, we got between pins 9 and 10, we have a 16 megahertz crystal. That I got off of eBay for only about $1, I think. So like I said, all these parts are really cheap. You can get a couple 22 picofarad capacitors. Also, I'm sure you get like a thing of like 100 of them for only a couple dollars. But if you just look for someone on eBay that's selling like maybe 5 of them for like $1, they're really cheap. So you put those from pins 9 and 10 to ground. Pin 8 and 22 both go to ground. So the circuit is actually really simple. If you're not sure how to read the pin numbers on the chip itself, That's also pretty easy. Basically, like I pointed out earlier, you got a notch on the chip, so look for that notch, and right to this side of it is going to be, this is a top view, okay, this is like the view from the top. The pin up here is going to be pin 1, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 14 on this side, because this chip is a 28 pin chip, so this is like basically half. So there's 14, and it starts on this side on the bottom from 15, 16, 17, all the way up to 28. So that's pretty much how you read the chip. That's pretty much the whole entire video. How do you install a bootloader onto an Uno board that does not have one. So thanks for watching.